To this now, Deputy Minister for Women, Youth and People with Disabilities, Sisisi Tolashe, is the new president of the ANC Women's League. The results of the top 5 positions of the league were announced yesterday at the final day of the league's conference in Nasrec, south of Johannesburg. Now let's speak to political analyst Dr Vilakazi, who joins us via Zoom now. Dr Vilakazi, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. So this is, of course, a resounding victory, many say, for the Ramaphosa camp, and of course, a defeat for the former president of the league, Bathabile Dlamini. Your reaction to the outcome of, the conference, and of course, how Tolashe will take the league going forward?
Good afternoon, Unati, and to viewers at home. It's quite an interesting outcome, especially for Umama Bathabile Dlamini, in that it became clearer in the politics of the ANC that whoever the president becomes, that is going to be the business of the day. And in this particular instance, the faction that supports the incumbent president, Cyril Ramaphosa, has won. Of course, you do have people like Udaina Pule in the deputy secretary position, and she seems to be in the faction of the former president Jacob Zuma, but generally, I think most of the people that have made it are those that belong to that faction, and that is my reading of the situation. Unati, it is deeply embedded in the politics of factionalism.
Of course, one of the key things that many people, particularly the ANC itself, would want to see is how she will then take and make the ANC Women's League relevant again. We know that President Cyril Ramaphosa, as the ANC president, has said that the Women's League needs to cement itself on the ground with pertinent issues that women in this country are facing, GBV being one of them, just women in business, and the gender parity issue. How do you think, how confident should people be that she is the one that will take this league to the next level? Because, we know that, Bathabile Dlamini, as much as she was facing her own personal, challenges, at her time, during her tenure, she was said to have taken the lead to the next level.
Unati, we're living in hard times as South Africans, especially when it comes to issues of gender-based violence and femicide, So this leadership would need to take South Africa to a different place in terms of, in my view, added political education that I would argue perhaps needs to be feminist. That is something that the ANC has lost touch with over time. So I would add that as an 11th point to the 10-point plan that the president has presented last night, to say that over and above the issues that the president has indicated, I think that at the essence and the gist of the work that is facing the Women's League is that of consciousness raising amongst South Africans. Why is it that we have such high levels of gender-based violence and femicide in our society? And I think if we do that groundwork of bringing back the political understanding of what it means to be a gendered person in the context of South Africa, the easier other issues in the 10-point plan are going to fall into place. Issues of land, issues of parity, issues of employability, and so on. But I think for as long as we do not work with the mindsets, in terms of our traditions and our beliefs and our conscience, in terms of what does it mean to be just a woman and a man in South African society in relation to equity, I think we'll miss the point. So for me, that would actually be the number one thing to do for the president incumbent, to say, raise consciousness. And this is where I think the leadership of other former presidents of the Women's League had failed, right? Like you put it so beautifully, Unati. When Bathabile Dlamini came into power, people thought that she's going to take the league into a different place. We have seen some things that have been done. And the formations of the Young Women's Desk, the LGBTI desk. But what we did not see was the change of mindset, just in terms of analysis. When we are talking about violence, what are we talking about? So you still see, for instance, things like in this conference, you can still bring in a perpetrator, right, like Umanana, into the conference of women when that person had committed a crime of a nature that would make women frown upon such a thing. And we've seen those kinds of mistakes under the leadership of Mamba Tabile Dlamini in the case of Rape Quiz, where the analysis was not really nuanced to say, what would be the responsibility of a women's league when a woman is being raped by a former president? What is the responsibility of the women's league in 2023 when a professor at UCT is being lacerated by patriarchy? You know, what is the responsibility of the ANC Women's League when grandchildren are raping their grandmothers in communities? So it is that kind of a thing, and it is the lack of, in my view, adequate analysis, and that comes with political education and political consciousness. And when I talk about political education here, Unati, I don't mean that someone must have a degree in politics. I am talking about what the ANC used to do on the pavements of society, where you are actually bringing in people in community halls, really have umhabulo to say, you know, what is going on in the country, what time is it politically. Women have got to find their own voice through the Women's League into the issues of politics. And in that way, you are then transforming the politics of the ANC from being a patriarchal organization, and you know, for both men and women, because patriarchy lives in all our bodies, right? Patriarchy is not just an issue of men. Women also can be patriarchal, and we've seen that in the ANC.